Cameron slammed the dilapidated door of his apartment, the echoing bang a fitting soundtrack to the chaos swirling within him. The memory of the girl Lily, singing in the park, was a persistent itch under his skin. He tried to scratch it away with his usual remedies: cheap beer, loud music, and a string of fleeting encounters with girls who were as lost as he was. But nothing worked. Her voice, pure and bright as a sunbeam, kept cutting through the grime that coated his soul. He tried to write it off. She was just a kid, naive and sheltered. God, church, faith, it was all a crutch for the weak. He, Cameron Burke, needed no such crutch. He had nature, raw and unforgiving, as his compass. Nature didn't make promises it couldn't keep. Days bled into weeks, a blur of petty crimes and reckless abandon. He clung to the familiar comfort of the gang, the only family he'd ever known. But even that felt hollow now, the adrenaline rush of a successful heist replaced by a gnawing emptiness. One Sunday, driven by an inexplicable urge, Cameron found himself standing across the street from a small, brightly painted church. The same church he'd seen Lily disappear into that day in the park. He told himself he was just curious. He told himself he was just passing by. He was lying. He could hear her voice even from across the street. It was the same melody, the same heart-wrenching sincerity, amplified by the chorus of other voices. He felt a magnetic pull, a force he couldn't resist. He crossed the street, hesitantly pushing open the heavy wooden doors. The air inside was thick with incense and the palpable energy of devotion. He stood awkwardly at the back, feeling like a trespasser, his leather jacket and scarred knuckles a stark contrast to the neatly dressed parishioners. And then he saw her. Lily stood at the front, her eyes closed, her face radiant as she led the choir. Her voice soared, filling the space, and for the first time in his life, Cameron felt a connection to something bigger than himself. He fled the church the moment the service ended, his mind reeling. He found Lily sitting on the steps, beaming at the dispersing crowd. "Cameron," she exclaimed, her eyes lighting up. "I knew you'd come someday." He scoffed, trying to regain his composure. "Don't get any ideas. I was just passing by." She didn't argue. Instead, she tilted her head, her gaze searching his. "You looked different in there." He shifted uncomfortably. "Different how?" "Lost. Like you were looking for something." He bristled at the accuracy of her words. "I'm not lost," he insisted. "I know exactly where I'm going." "Do you?" she asked softly. "Then why do you look so unhappy?" He couldn't answer. He couldn't even meet her gaze. He just muttered something about having to go and turned to leave. "Wait," she called after him. "Why don't you understand why I love God so much?" He stopped, his back to her. "Why would I? It's all BS. Fairy tales for scared people." Lily sighed, a sadness settling on her young face. "Maybe. But it's not just a fairy tale for me, Cameron. It's my life. It's what saved me." He turned around, curiosity finally overcoming his cynicism. "Saved you from what? What could a choir girl possibly need saving from?" Lily looked down at her hands, her fingers tracing invisible patterns on the stone steps. "My parents," she began, her voice barely a whisper, "they were addicts. They didn't want me. I was shuffled from home to home just like you. Maybe even worse. Neglected. Abused." Cameron felt a jolt, a sudden understanding. He knew that cold, hollow loneliness. He knew the feeling of being unwanted, disposable. "I was angry," she continued, her voice gaining strength. So angry. And scared. I used to think there was no point, that no one cared what happened to me. I was ready to give up." She looked up at him then, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "But then I found God. Not in a big, booming voice or a flash of lightning, but in the kindness of the people at this church, in the songs they sang, in the feeling that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't alone. They showed me love when I didn't think I deserved it." Her voice caught, and Cameron saw a flicker of the pain she had endured in her eyes. It was the same pain he saw in the mirror every day. This church, it became my family. God became my father. He gave me a reason to live, a reason to hope. He healed me, Cameron. He healed me when no one else could. That's why I sing. That's why I love him. Because he gave me something to believe in when everything else had been taken away. The story hung in the air between them, heavy with unspoken truths. Cameron stared at her, his carefully constructed defenses crumbling around him. He saw not a naive choir girl, but a survivor, a warrior, a beacon of light in the darkness. And for the first time in a long time, he felt a flicker of something he thought he'd lost forever: hope.